Hello, travel biz owner. Welcome to my corner of the travel industry, the Strategic Travel Entrepreneur Podcast. If you're ready to have fun, be inspired, get clarity, and take action in your travel business, then you're in the right place. Let's jump in. Hey friend, happy Friday or whatever day you happen to be listening to this episode. This, I feel, is the juiciest episode of the podcast. So I started doing these last year where I was sharing the biggest failures and wins of my year. And so this is also probably going to be like one of the most transparent episodes that I have because, again, I'm sharing everything I'm sharing nearly everything with you. Obviously, I can't share like a lot of inner details and stuff, but I do want to be transparent or as transparent as possible with you so that you can take some of the lessons that I've learned and some of kind of like the trends and patterns that I'm picking up on, and you can either do something or avoid something based on my experiences this past year. Now, before we get into like all the businessy stuff, like personally, this year was just not my favorite. And I don't feel like I'm the only one just looking from everybody's social media. Now, and I will say that it's not my favorite, but a lot of really great things happened this year. But a lot of like not great things happened this year. I will say that I do love to be more of an optimist and look on the positive side of things. So I try and think of everything as a learning opportunity or what I can do better. Some things are just not possible. Like I'm thinking about the health scare that I had in my family a couple months ago. Like there wasn't really anything that I could do to avoid it, but there are certain things that my family member could do to avoid it and all that. Earlier this year, I started off with my own health stuff this year. Thankfully, it seems like I've kind of cleared a loop and I'm trying something this month to help out with a couple things because, you know, I'm very transparent. I have endometriosis. I'm anemic. I have Hashimoto's thyroiditis. So there's a lot of things that are happening in the background. And I'm sure that you have your own things or at least know somebody that has their own things going on. But I think it's really important to kind of like be upfront about it because I don't think a lot of people that have autoimmune diseases like myself really talk about these things. And I think it helps normalize it because especially with these health things, it can feel like you're the only one. It can feel like a very lonely road. So I just kind of like to elevate speaking about it so that if you are also experiencing that, knowing that you are not the only one. So yeah, I started very hot this year with things like that. And thankfully things have tapered. And yes, I am trying a new modality. So fingers and toes crossed. I can say like in the next quarter, things are getting much improved. But yeah, things were just not so great. There were a lot of like big plans that I wanted to have, like personal trips that just weren't able to had, and I'll discuss a little bit on why in just a couple of moments. But I'm really hoping, and not even hoping, a lot of the work that I have done in 2023 and 2024 are positioning me for a really great 2025. And some of the indicators are kind of some of the wins that I had this year, some of the big like data points that I had this year. So without further ado, kind of giving you a little bit of lay of the land, I will also say, just as a refresher too, my word of the year was empower for 2024. I wanted to feel more empowered as a business owner myself. And then I also wanted you to feel more empowered. And I did that with different people that I brought on board. Like I was really trying to be intentional with packing a punch with the value that I provided, both in my various events and then also here on the podcast. And I really think I packed a punch this year, both with the different guests and collaborations that I had, and also just discussing these different things, like whenever I've tested something and what really slapped and what didn't slap and all that. And I know that myself also that I have had a lot of realizations that we'll talk about that have helped me to feel a little bit more empowered. I feel like the evolution of me as a person and as a business owner is kind of what is culminating for 2025, especially when it comes to my word of the year that I will share at the end of this episode. So make sure you stay tuned. So what were some of my biggest failures? And I want to start with my failures because I know that they're super juicy. There's kind of some of the biggest learning experiences really do come from my failures, and then we can get to some of the wins. So I don't want to brag too much just in the beginning, but there is a lot of good stuff that happened this year as well. So when it comes to looking at failures, I would say that my biggest failures, and again, this goes with take the helm. So not necessarily, like I'm not really counting much of my travel agency in this mix, and that is because I really have reduced what I'm doing in the travel agency, because Take the Helm and the Strategic Travel Entrepreneur podcast and what I'm doing to support the travel industry and your travel businesses is really becoming the forefront of my passion and really everything that I do. Everything that I do, like I think about how can this make your lives easier as a business owner? What truth can I say and put out there? What resources can we put out there that you need to be aware of, that we can like knock some sense into you, getting you to take more action, holding you more accountable in your businesses. So, please look at it as this way too. It's not directly the business that you may have, but I still think it's pretty valuable to hear some of the things that I am discussing. So the first flop of 2024, and really these are in no particular order, these are kind of like just how I wrote them down in my notes, was services. And so I have been operating on services since 2021, since I first resigned from my full-time position in May 2021. I have been doing marketing and social media one-on-one services, and it's usually been on a retainer method. So people will hire me and I will work for them like 6 months to a year, however long the contract is, with a predetermined number at the beginning of that contract. I have been feeling that services have not been like where my heart, like what really makes my heart sing. I am really great at what I do and delivering on those service packages, but I had pretty much like I had 3 service clients this year. Only one is still around, and I absolutely love what I do with them. Like, love what I do because it aligns very closely to kind of what I do here on this platform. The 2 other services, one could no longer afford me because they were kind of going through a period of transition within their business. So I lost that very last minute, very unexpected. Was not in a good place at the end / mid Q2 going into Q3. But then I had another contract that I was able to sign on to kind of like make up for that. The clients, however, were not utilizing my services. So part of me felt a little bit guilty for charging them and continuing to invoice them. But part of me was also, and this is kind of like the evolution and the empowerment, is that I reserve the time to not take on any more projects for this specific client so that I could dedicate and focus my time on them. So it wasn't my fault that they weren't utilizing me. That contract also had to end early because of those reasons, because I wasn't being utilized. And even before these 2 events happened, I had just been feeling, I know that I need to have services in my business for people to pay me to do work, because how else am I going to make money as a business owner? But the types of services that they just weren't singing to my heart, really, is what it comes down to. And I think like that's the piece of being a generator when we're thinking about human design, that generators really need to be, the work that they do really needs to align to work that lights them up. And certain types of work don't light me up, especially when it is, and this is going to sound a little bit funny, but when there's certain types of deliverables, especially when it comes in the creative space, I feel like I need to be an open butterfly and be able to fly and soar like a free bird and be able to do this and that. And sometimes when I do sign on contracts for services, it doesn't always feel like that to me. Sometimes it really is, because especially when you're starting out on a business, you need to do certain things to pay the bills. It just needs to happen, because you having a place to live, being able to afford that place, being able to afford groceries on your table is more important than you being happy, really, at one point. The income has to come in. So you have to do some things to sacrifice and make it happen. And this is why I will never tell another business owner, like, yeah, just go ahead, quit your job willy-nilly, kind of like how I did. I would not recommend that. There's a lot of people who aren't in, and I'm not even saying like I was in the place that I was ready to do that, but everybody has a different life circumstance. And I know that I also have to be responsible in this platform, and I also have to be responsible for myself. So there are certain things that I have to do, and that we all do as business owners, that are not our favorite thing, but they're the things that it's going to pay our water bill, our cell phone bill, our bill to be able to splurge on a nice night out, a nice dinner out, and all that. And so while services were like really the heart of my business, I am generating revenue nowadays in alternative ways. Like, I still am doing services for one client again, which I love and I would love to be doing for a very long time. But then I also adopted a couple new revenue streams that I'll talk about on my wins, because they worked so well. And like, I talk a lot about diversifying your income, and I'm like, I think services is something that I'm going to take off of my list, because one, I don't need to be doing all the things. And two, I really haven't found a service yet that really makes my heart sing, other than like something very specialized that I do with my one client. So it's something that I really shouldn't be focusing on, especially when there are other things that I do within my business that do make my heart sing and that do really super light me up when we're talking about businesses. So that was probably what I would say is the biggest failure of mine, or of my business this year, is that services did not work. I had been feeling that for a while, and kind of nail hit the head this year. Another failure, and I'm not sure that I would totally consider this a failure, this is something that's like I really need to work on for next year, is that I need to make more connections within the travel industry for a lot of different reasons. And a lot of these have to do with some of my big wins, but plainly, I just need to know more people in this industry. A lot of this is because I want to give you access and exposure to people who are doing amazing things in this industry, whether they're on like the representation side or tour operator side or education side or supplier side. There's so many different facets of the industry. And I think I acknowledge this, like when I think about the different collaborations and events that I put on, I have a really great pool of people to pull and people to ask for help and assistance and to be able to do this and that for me. But I am still needing more, because I also don't want to get stagnant and complacent. Like, I want to make sure that I am always putting out fresh content and fresh perspectives. This also means about diverse perspectives as well. I feel like I am one of the very few minority women of color educators / coaches within the travel agency industry. There are a lot of Caucasian women that are part of this, and I'm not knocking that, but especially with a more diverse agency atmosphere that we're having and more diverse agents that are coming into the industry, we need to hear from diverse viewpoints. And that's always been a huge mission of me. Like, you'll know at my events, like Prep for Wave Week, I always try and have at least 50% of people with diverse backgrounds. And so part of me making connections is also being able to cultivate this really diverse network within the industry that I can call on, not only to kind of help me in my atmosphere, but also to help you and your businesses, and also to help uplift them and their own businesses as well. So again, I wouldn't say that this is necessarily a failure. It was just a realization that while, one, I'm a really great connector, I've kind of achieved that positive reputation within the industry. And that was a lot of work over the past couple of years. Like, even before 2021, I was kind of like cultivating this network of people within the industry. And that, I feel like, when it comes to your travel agency, is super important for you as well as a business owner, is always building those relationships, always meeting new people, seeing what they're doing, how they can assist your industry, especially like if you're very niche specific, whether that's you're in formal education, if that is you're in Second Life, empty nester, whether that is you have like you're a nerd, book movie nerd, and you want to take people to those places. Like, there's certain people that you need to know within each of those different niches and those industries. And those are the movers and shakers. So if you don't know the people that are in your specific demographic-ish almost, then you also need to be focusing on making more diverse connections with people within those industries as well. So again, not really a failure, but a realization that we have to work on this and we have to fix this, because while that's always something that's top of mind, I don't think I've been as focused on this as I have been like back in 2021, where I was first starting to cultivate relationships. Failure to me, and I still do not feel comfortable sharing income, but I am still working on crushing my debt and stabilizing my income. So the failure of that is that I have not crushed my debt. I have not been able to stabilize my income. However, I have made more money this past year than I have in previous years. I'm still not profitable, obviously, because I do have that debt looming above me, but I was able to crush some debts this year, which I am super happy about. Excited to crush some more debts in the new year, and also excited because I'm starting to see where my income is starting to become a little bit more stable. So while I haven't achieved it yet, I am working closer to that goal. So I am super happy about that. It just needs to be something that I flex a little bit more and need to get a little bit better on. I have been able to hone in on kind of like my spending, especially when it comes to business. I think like one of the big things that I would love to do for 2025 is invest in some branding for a couple different projects that I have. But I'm like, nope, we're not going to be investing in this until like we have the revenue coming in, or we have some revenue forming that can kind of like cover that expense. Because again, really, crushing debt and conquering that is really at the forefront, at the top of my goals. And also stabilizing income, because like I mentioned in the services area, when I had the one contract in like Q2 fall out in place, I was not doing well income-wise for a couple of months until that other contract picked up, maybe like 2 or 3 months later from there. And so it was rough, and then it was great. But I want to make sure, especially when I'm doing my planning, that we don't have these parts where it's like, oh my gosh, like what am I supposed to do this month? Or I had this big of a gap this month. So that's a lot of what I have been working on, especially the past couple months, to make sure that we don't have that experience again this year. So still a work in progress when it comes to stabilizing income and crushing debt, but I am truly feeling so much better and so much more confident in the little actions and activities, like the different practices that I'm putting in place to make sure that I stay in a really great place. A failure that I would definitely say is a failure for 2024 is last year. I know I told you guys on the podcast, probably in this episode for last year, that I was going to be doing a blogging project and showing you how to monetize, not showing you, but sharing with you how I was monetizing my blogging for Take the Helm and the Strategic Travel Entrepreneur podcast and making that into a different revenue stream. And I did not stay committed to that. And a lot of that is because of this kind of like income gap that I experienced. That was definitely a part where I was like, I need to do the tried and true things that I know that can generate my income. Blogging has not become one of those, so I need to go back to the drawing board and where is it that I can easily generate income, which is kind of part of why that project kind of fell to the wayside a little bit this year. The other part of why blogging came to the wayside is because I had the brilliant idea to create the cruise content library, which I really do think is a diamond in the rough. And I just have so many big plans for the cruise content library. Like, I truly think that it can be a marketing technology on its own. And I am really doing this bootstrap. Like, I am not looking for any sorts of investors. Like, you are my investors if you are listening to this. So if you have paid that pre-sale rate, thank you so much. Because one, it really fuels my drive to keep adding content to the cruise content library. And that's something that I'll be working on over the holiday break. Now that my Christmas crafting project is now complete. And that's something that over this next month in January, that is really going to be top of mind, because I have been thinking about launching either at the end of Q1 or beginning of Q2. I need to kind of see how this next week or so goes to see like where I'm at and all that, and like how much further I need to be. But yeah, that definitely took away my attention because I am just so passionate about the cruise content library. I've created tons of content, video content for your businesses that you can use to market your businesses more on social media. And social media, I think, is going to be very interesting when it comes to looking in 2025, because we have TikTok in the United States that might be TikTok gone or tick gone. Lots of people are leaving Twitter, which is now X. And I was hearing that people who use that platform a lot are migrating over to LinkedIn, which makes me happy because I love using LinkedIn as a platform. LinkedIn now is adopting a lot of video content on their platform as well. So social media is always something that is evolving. So I'm interested to see that landscape change and what kinds of changes will be made. And I'm also interested to see like how you really leverage the cruise content library for your own marketing purposes. But yeah, that's why blogging didn't work so well this year. Now, I will say, in marketing business school, we are doing actually a blogging challenge at the beginning of Q1. So that is as much for me as it is for the members of marketing business school to get our acts together for blogging, because especially like blogging and search engine optimization really is in a weird position right now, just with AI that's come on board. So I don't want to wait any longer for things and changes to happen. I also, part of that blogging project was to create additional assets that I can leverage when it comes to things like branding partnerships, which were one of my wins. I don't want to get too ahead of myself, but if I'm able to build out the blog a little bit more, that is an asset that I can use for my business. So thinking about you and your businesses as well, what kinds of assets can you really leverage? This can be for brand partnerships. This can just be to showcase your expertise and your knowledge within your stated field in the travel industry. But I know that one asset that I definitely have is super strong is this podcast. And that was part of me wanting to add on a blog in 2024, and me focusing on the blog in 2025 is to add that additional not only asset, but also being able to harness that as a revenue stream. And then the third revenue stream that I want to harness will be using YouTube in some way. I'm not exactly sure. And I kind of feel like it's almost been this shiny object that I almost wanted to start working on YouTube before blogging. And I told myself, Rita, nope, stop, halt. You are going to focus on the project that you already put to the wayside. So that really is going to be coming to the forefront in 2025, is that blogging project. There's also going to be a couple more things coming to the forefront in terms of like the cruise content library, because I know I don't talk about it a lot because making cruise content is kind of like one of those services that I offer. So I don't really talk about it. I just do it. And like when I'm on FAMs and when you go on trips with me, you just see me in action, and I'm there to help you and guide you when it comes to content creation. So some of the things, or one of the things that I'll be working on, is being a little bit more open on that process. And so I am right now kind of like outlining a private podcast feed that you'll be able to download for free. So stay tuned on that if generating more content for your cruise business is something of interest. The last kind of failure that I would say for this year is that I was not able to grow Marketing Business School like I wanted this year. And it kind of stumps me, but I'm also evaluating Marketing Business School. You're hearing it here first, but I think I did tell some members of Marketing Business School this past week. I really wanted to change the name of Marketing Business School because I feel like people might not be joining it because it says school and it's about learning. And I just can't find a new name that really resonates me or that lights me up. Like, I really love the name Marketing Business School, but I do have to say that Marketing Business School in 2025 is not going to look like how it's looked in the past 2 years. And that's because of what I'll say was one of my wins for 2024, is that I was able to conduct a focus group. Thank you so much if you attended my focus group in July this year, and got really great feedback that really what you need for your business is to be held accountable and to take action, and to do that together. And so those are the types of things that we're really focusing on for Marketing Business School. Like, we're going to do monthly planning sessions, marketing master classes, and all the other types of calls that we have are going to happen on a quarterly basis now, because I don't want you to get wrapped up on the educational part and always having to learn something new every month. I want you to be doing stuff every single month to be able to move the needle in your business a little more. And you can't be doing that if you're constantly learning about something new every single month, which is why I have there's probably close to 30 marketing master classes within Marketing Business School. So anybody that joins it is going to have this treasure trove of education. But the monthly classes or the monthly Zoom calls that we have every single month are really going to be geared to, monthly planning. What was on that planning sheet that we created back in the Plan Your Year workshop? What are the things that you need to be doing this month to be getting to the goals that you outlined, to be getting closer to knocking out that content creation that you created in the Plan Your Year workshop? It's also going to be more hot seat coaching. I believe if that's not every month, it might be every other month. We're still going to be doing quarterly reviews, because that was a big thing. I really am trying to, if I'm asking for your feedback, I'm trying to be very cognizant and intentional when I make changes on things. And I'm just so excited for where Marketing Business School is not only going to take us all together, because while yes, I'm the host, I'm the leader of Marketing Business School, we are all rooting each other on. If you're in Marketing Business School, we're BFFs. And I really do appreciate you showing up not only for yourself, but for everybody else in the group, because I know we all take something different away from each other. So it is not just all about me and hearing me talk about things. It is also seeing what's working for everybody else in the industry as well. So, and I think that's probably what needed to happen and change in order to help spurt more growth into marketing business school. So we'll see what happens in 2025, but really putting it at the forefront. Like, I think the past couple of years have been really about me proving myself and showcasing my expertise. And now that I've kind of built that out, it's really, okay, we've got to get results for you. Like, I know that I have the stuff behind me to get you the results that you need. Now we need to focus on getting you those results. And yeah, that really ties into my word of the year for 2025, which we're getting to. But first, let's celebrate a couple more wins. So those were a couple of the failures. A couple of my wins. If you've been on my email list, you know that I have been talking about 2024 being a record-breaking year. So first off, thank you, because really, I could not do this without you. Like, we just broke the record for most downloads in the first 24 hours a couple weeks ago with 200 downloads in a day. We are quickly itching our way up to 50,000 downloads. So we might make it this year, we might make it this year in the next couple of days. If we don't, it'll be quickly in the beginning of next year. Prep for Wave Week had record-breaking attendance, like almost 1,000 people. We had over 750 people registered for Prep for Wave Week, and it's always been my dream for this to be an 1,000 people and 1,000 attendee event, and I really feel strongly that that's definitely going to happen in 2025. There were over 5,000 page views for Travel Industry Black Friday, which was huge. Like, the amount of page views that we had last year was the amount of page views we had in the first day this year. So I'm like, whoa, it was incredible. And there were a couple of changes this year that definitely, you could see like why those changes and those record breakings really happened. This year was also the most people registered for Plan Your Year. And huge thank you to everybody who like voiced their thoughts about Plan Your Year in terms of we need to do a Plan Your Year workshop earlier. So historically, Plan Your Year the past couple of years has been that weekend or the week before Thanksgiving, because I like to kind of like play out that you can have your plan for the next year done before even the turkey starts roasting for Thanksgiving. And I got a resounding like, we need to do this earlier next year. And I had been feeling that as well, but I didn't know that you guys were feeling that also. So I'm super glad for that feedback, because a lot of my events, normally they started in October. They're going to be starting in September next year. So like Prep for Wave Week will be in September. Plan Your Year will be in October, and then Travel Industry Black Friday, can't really change Black Friday, will be in November. And there's going to be like individual changes along that path, but I am really hoping that I know a lot of us, especially at Plan Your Year this year, felt a little overwhelmed by all the things that we had to do, especially since the holiday gap this year. Like, I feel like we missed out on a week in between Thanksgiving and Christmas this year. So by me being able to do things a little bit earlier, I'm hoping that it helps also to remove a little bit of your overwhelm and get you started on planning things a little bit earlier instead of kind of like rushing when we're also rushing to get all of the holiday things done. I think this is a win-win not only for me, but also for you next year. And I'm just super excited. Like, I am feeling both a little overwhelmed, but very pumped for 2025, because I really want to work ahead and work earlier so I don't have to feel as stressed and overwhelmed by the end of the year as I historically have felt. Which kind of like leads me into my next win, which was really recognizing some of the things that I do really great at are events and partnerships. And these are some of the events that I've kind of mentioned earlier. They're also my audio summits. Many of you know about my Travel Tech Audio Summit. And then this year I started the Alternative Careers in Travel Summit. I've also had lots of really great series on the podcast between like the lead generation series and then the summer selling series. I have a couple more like amazing series lined up for next year that I cannot wait to bring to you. But I really had to hone in on that those are the things that, one, I love doing, I'm great at doing, and are really great revenue generators. And so part of that is also that I started doing brand partnerships this year. So you notice that I had a couple presenting partners at Prep for Wave Week and Travel Industry Black Friday. There were some VIP listings. There were some premier partners, goodie bags, swag bags, all of that. And I want to do more of that because, one, that is just so much fun for me. And they were way easier. Full transparency, those types of things were way easier for me to sell than services ever have been for me. And so because of that, I'm like, okay, I gotta lean into the stuff that I love and the stuff that is easy, because that's gonna make me more apt to do those types of things. So thinking back to your agency as well, there is a fine line, especially if you're just starting up. There's certain things that you just have to do. Because again, things need to be paid. You've got bills on the table. Those are the things, the priorities that need to work on. But once you're able to start leveling off, then you can really be a little bit more picky and choosy and being like, I'm going to do the things that light me up. So what are those types of things that you are also going to be focusing on next week? There's a lot of these events too that are just really great lead generators for me that I want to keep doing. And they also get me in front of is not even the right word, but I get to be friends and colleagues with some of the most amazing people within this industry. And I'm also very attuned to like values and making sure that we have similar values. And I am just so blessed as somebody who came from what was a very toxic work environment in the Orlando theme parks to now be working somewhere where like my voice is respected in a field and like doing things in business that I would have never been able to see. And I don't even know that I could have like even dreamt of this. I am just like, there is just so much gratitude. Like I really have to ground myself when I think about things, because I could never have imagined the amazing work that I do right now. And that's why I keep saying thank you to you all, because it's really, whatever I'm doing really does seem to be resonating with you. You really appreciate it. I really try and take your feedback at hand so I can adjust where needed. And this is just not possible without, one, me working my patootie off, and then you also enjoying the work that I'm doing. So I'm just really grateful. And this is also funny because it comes full circle. When I was studying hospitality management, so if you didn't know, I have my bachelor's degree summa cum laude from the University of Central Florida, the Rosen College of Hospitality Management. Also, rest in peace to Mr. Harris Rosen, who helped found that college and was just a really incredible, like I cannot say more positive things about what he did for the Orlando community. He passed just before Thanksgiving this year, which like really leaves a hole in our community, and also it leaves a hole within me, but it also gives me some inspiration because I want to be that type of leader that Mr. Rosen was for us. And so when I was going to the hospitality management college, I wanted to be more general because I thought it would just help me out overall wherever I landed in the hospitality industry. But when I was choosing my electives, I always stuck with event management because that was really my passion. I just wanted to do something in event management that was also going to like balance out my work life, because you know, if you are like, or if you've been involved in like the wedding planning field or people that are just like party planners and things like that, Work-life balance is pretty difficult, and I just did not want to leave that lifestyle, which is why I did not get my bachelor's degree in event management. I opted for hospitality management, but I think like that was probably the best decision for me because I've done so many different things in this industry. And I just say that it's kind of like a full circle moment because events has never faltered for me. Like events has been like at the core of me, is what I do really well, what I enjoy a lot. So I am glad that I have been able to find my way into making like events a pillar of my business now as well. So I mentioned this, another big win for me is that I did conduct a focus group this summer and got lots of really great feedback, overwhelmingly hearing from you that you need help taking action and holding yourself accountable in your business, which is why I mentioned there's certain changes that I'm making in marketing business school. There's also certain changes like in the types of content that I have created to help you be a little bit more of an action taker and holding yourself accountable. This is why I've talked a lot about the Plan Your Year workshop, because that is a workshop to get you working on your plan for the new year, to be taking action. This is also why I'm dabbling in some rapid fire coaching. So I have a couple of travel advisors who will be doing rapid fire coaching with me next year. And then I haven't really talked about this too much, so this is kind of like breaking news for you. I am putting a retreat together next year. It is not a learning retreat. It is a doing retreat. Will you learn some things? You probably will, because again, I'm going to give you bird's eye view of what I do with my content creation on a cruise ship, because I'm calling this retreat Summer Camp at Sea, and I cannot wait. This was really inspired by me being frustrated this past summer that I needed to work inside of my business, or I needed to work on my business. I needed to update email automations. I needed to clean up workflows in my CRMs or contracts in my CRMs. I needed to clear my inbox, and I just didn't have time because I was grinding and hustling my booty off to make up that income. And so that is what we're going to do all together at Summer Camp at Sea next year. It is going to be a summer cruise in July 2025. If you're interested in details, again, I'm not going to make this open to everybody, like totally public, but if you are wanting details on coming with me, please be sure to email me, rita@steeryourmarketing.com, and I will send you all the links with all the information between the registration as well as the cruise fare, because I want to make sure that we get you covered. There's 3 days of sea. 3 days at sea purposely because I want you to get the work done. But I'm also one of those that likes to lay out and relax. So if you have not planned any vacation off of your business, like this is the week to be able to do a little bit of working and a little bit of laying back. So full details are going to be at the links, but you need to email me to get the links because I'm going to be a little selective. Like I want to make sure that it is going to be really great action takers that want to be heading on here. There's going to be all sorts of surprise and delights. I am partnering with Celebrity Cruise Lines for this, and they are super excited about this. So right after the 4th of July, we will be setting sail on a Caribbean cruise. Really, the only part of the itinerary that was really important to me was making sure we had 3 days at sea to do the work. There is definitely going to be content creation together. We might have a couple shoots here and there. So I'm gushing. I'm so excited. And I cannot wait for you to join us at Summer Camp at Sea this year. Another win that I had this year, now this one is for the travel agency side. A couple weeks ago, some retreat clients found me because of the SEO on my travel agency. They could not believe that somebody does the work that I do, which is planning retreats on cruise ships. And they have been planning retreats in their coaching business for many years and had just gotten into cruising and wanted to see how they could marry that, but didn't know somebody out there existed. And thankfully, my content existed out there in the world, and that's how they found me. And I feel like that's a win on SEO in itself. And then I think it's also a win because the exact right types of clients are coming to me for the travel agency, which makes it so much easier when not the right clients come to me that I can refer that work out. And it gives me the space to keep getting right fit clients. So that was really a very unexpected but super happy win for me on the agency front. Now, the last but not least, because I feel like this is probably one of the most personal wins for me, is that I am so comfortable in who I am and what I do within this industry. I feel like since 2021, I didn't know where my place stood, especially as your educator, as your podcast host, as your coach. And I think hearing in the focus group that you saw me as your coach was a big thing for me. Then really sharing my personal stories with you of being a Latina, sharing all the crazy stories of my Puerto Rican family, sharing all my trials and tribulations of someone who has autoimmune disease, plus all these other things. And then also being able to share my nerdiness with you and ever like Bridgerton or Game of Thrones or whatever might be coming, that I have just become more comfortable in who I am and what I do and what I offer and what I have of value to like really help you out in your business. That 2025 Rita is unapologetic Rita. And that is my word for 2025. Unapologetic. Like, I am not going to be, and this kind of emerged in the middle of this year, that I think the empowerment that's really empowered stood out for me in 2024. And unapologetic means a lot of things. Like, I'm not going to apologize for the prices of things and like how much I charge for things, because one, I do a lot of things for free and a lot of things that are super cost effective. And even some of the programming that I do and I do charge is still very cost effective on you, because I'm very cognizant of being accessible. But I know I can't be accessible for everyone. And I also know I can't, and I don't, and I will not be a broke business owner. I also know that I need to be an example to you on how like struggles can become championships, really. And so I need to walk the walk and talk the talk. And that includes, if I'm telling you to charge a fee, a reasonable fee, I also need to be doing the same. And I'm not going to apologize for that. Like I know I severely undercharged myself in the beginning, because I just wanted to get my foot in the door in some places. And I just wanted to get the work. I needed it. And while, yes, I need the work, I need to do certain things, I also know the value that I provide. And yes, it took a couple of years to get there, but I can clearly articulate it, not only from my words, but I have data points now. Like, that was a big thing for me in 2024, was to collect data points. And I can say the podcast has this many downloads. I know this many people are on my email list. If you didn't know, I did purge my email list recently. So it was at 3,500 and now it's back to like 2,900, which is still really great, because I'd rather have a small and mighty community than a huge and discombobulated community. So there are certain things, like I'm trying to think of like, how is unapologetic Rita going to show up? Because I also don't want you to think that unapologetic means that I don't care, because I massively care. And if you know me, you know how much I care about you and your success. But I want us to have success on unapologetic terms. I want us to be successful in ways that really align with our values and that really stand for what we do, doing work that incredibly lights us up. Like, I think like that really is the overall encompassing view of what I feel for 2025 and the lessons that I've learned from 2024 and going into this new year that I'm super, super excited about. I don't think that Rita from 2021 would believe you if I told you that my word of the year was going to be unapologetic. So I am just super excited, super thankful. I cannot wait to root you on in 2024. I can't wait to see all the amazing things that you're going to do and accomplish, whether that's with me or with somebody else. I want you to win, because the way that we in the travel industry win is if we all win together. And I can't wait. I can't wait to see what we all do and what we all accomplish together in 2025. So I would love to know. I've shared with you my word of the year. Please go ahead and share with me your word of the year. So you can just text it to me, send Rita your thoughts on the show description below. I hope that you had a really merry, happy holiday this past week. And please be super safe and super healthy as we're heading into New Year's Eve and New Year's Day. This is the last episode for 2024. Thank you so much for being here, so much for sharing the show, and all of your ratings, reviews, and your referrals to get more people listening to this show. I am just so appreciative and can't wait to give back to you in the new year. All right, that's it from me. See ya. Thanks for joining me on the podcast today. Remember to check out the show notes for all relevant links and resources from today's show. See you next time.